morning. I just want the microphone. Morning. Take the mask off your face and look at me face to face. Good morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. This world is getting so cold. I wanna keep running like a soldier. Somebody must have touched my soul, 'cause there ain't no stopping till it's over. I wanna get up out my chair, 'cause everybody's getting so lazy. Don't want nobody touch my hair, 'cause a lot of sisters acting too crazy. And them not tough like this, rough like this, and them not nice like this. Some can't take it when you talk true sense. Rather hear the words that glorify nonsense. Yes, and I got my brains, and I'm pretty like my mama. I don't wanna pick your brains, I just want the microphone. Take the mask off your face and look at me face to face. Good morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. I wanna share my love, but it's gotta be with someone who's precious. You're never gonna get my love, accepting that you're real precious. You're never gonna cramp my style, baby, 'cause I get a lot of pleasure. And if you wanna test my style, you better have a whole lot of measure, 'cause I'm a rock back chick, never tag along the never look back chick. Trendy, a little crazy, intelligently singing rock back chick. No sticks, no stones, or any kind of weapon don't belong here. I don't wanna break no bones, I just want a microphone. Take the mask off your face and look at me face to face. Good morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Youth Wednesdays on the Tobago Updates morning show, the one and only morning show. We are live here in Portmore, Scarborough, Tobago, and I am your favorite youth host, Dwayne Nurse.
And I am Janae Campbell, your dynamic youth host. We are coming to you live from M&E TV, Smash Radio, Gale, Facebook, YouTube, and TobagoUpdates.com. There's a lot happening in the Tobago space, Dwayne.
Of course. But first, I love how you use the word dynamic. My name begins with D, by the way. And but, I really like how we end matching this morning, but you look good.
You know what? Next time we have to speak the night before and arrange what color we will be wearing so that we'll be able to come on the show and match.
I really feel because Aliana here, you're trying to fit her role because nobody had to know me and you and talk last night. But anyway, so a lot happening this in the Tobago space this morning. We have heard some bad news, a murder happening quite recently at the Dutch Fort Bar in Scarborough with Mr. Bovell, and quite an unfortunate situation. And you know, I was thinking that it came after we had a press conference about where ACP Nils was saying that, you know, given the statistics and so on, and giving Tobago hope that, you know, the crime rate and the murder, the crime solve rate is going up and so on, and then this occurred, and then following the robberies, etc. So it's a lot happening pertaining to crime on the island. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yes, indeed, I believe it's quite an alarming situation here, and you know, it was a bit shocking for me personally, because I have never seen such an event happen in this Tobago space where someone was murdered right in the heart of town at a popular bar. And you know, I just want to extend my sincerest sympathy to the family, and I hope that they will be able to seek solace in this time of bereavement, and I trust that we would be able to get it right as a Tobago society and as a nation as we try to monitor crime here.
Correct, because you know, we have some discussions coming up, and we would see how, you know, what are some of the factors that contributes to crime. And you know, globally we are facing a lot of, you know, economic downturn and, you know, inflation, and you know, and it's not that we are giving reason for crime or saying that, you know, it's okay, but there are some factors relating to that. And some positive news, however, we saw that we had a foot in the solving of some of those robberies. We had a person of interest in custody, and that is some good news. Well, I mean, to some extent, you know, we don't praise crime. The mere fact that we have to have somebody in custody is not something that we praise, but it is good that the police is doing their work in that regard.
Also, in some positive news, we recently saw a lot happening in the youth development space. We saw the Roxborough Police Youth Club relaunch their hydroponic program.
Yes.
I am a proud member of that Police Youth Club.
Yes, because they're from Roxborough.
Well,
big up Roxborough and the country.
Big up. We also shout out to Charlottesville Police Youth Club, who launched their Youth Skills Center, which I believe is a remarkable initiative, and I'm so proud that a youth organization within the Tobago space has been able to fund their own initiatives outside of the THA, because you know, sometimes we feel like development can only take place at the level of the THA. So it's good that we have organizations such as the Digicel Foundation who were able to come and step in and fund these community projects.
And it's very good to see private entities partner with the youth. And it's not something that is it's something that is novel and new in our space, and you know, it's very good that we have that happening, right? And finally, though, talking about money, we see $60 million. The central government gave the THA $60 million after the mid-year budget review. You know, I mean, it is, and we saw Mr. The chief technical advisor in the division of finance for the chief secretary yesterday gave a breakdown as to what that might cover. You know, so I mean, it's not necessarily, you know, it's to pay bills in other words.
Right, because I was just going to say that I believe that 60 million will really go to recurrent expenditure.
Yes, to cover all expenses, you know, for the fiscal year before it ends. Right, so that is it for the for a lot happening in this space. But we go over to Danicia for news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Dwayne. Here's the news in 90 seconds. 53 daily paid workers in the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection are without their fortnight pay. According to a release from the division, all of the wages were processed through the automated clearinghouse system. However, a recent check of the division's bank account revealed that the payment of wages for the fortnight period, the 15th to the 28th of April 2022, was rejected from one banking institution only. All workers processed through other banking institutions received their pay. The division apologized to the workers and assured they are trying to resolve the matter as quickly as possible. In other news, Minority Leader Kelvin Morris is concerned about a possible breach in a tendering process recently. During a press conference at the Minorities Council headquarters in Scarborough yesterday, Morris said a tender by the Division of Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment and Sustainable Development was submitted late. The tender was to procure management services for the reforestation and watershed rehabilitation program. Morris alleges that a family member of a senior elected assemblyman might have corrupted the process. The THA is currently investigating the allegations. Meanwhile, Acting Commissioner of Police MacDonald Jacobs says a special team is being set up to investigate reports of abuse at children's homes across the country. This comes on the heels of Explosive Jones report detailing physical and sexual abuse suffered by children in homes at the hands of other residents and caregivers. According to an article in the Guardian newspapers, they will also be investigating the recently surfaced Robert Sabgar report detailing the abuse and murder of 11-year-old Akil Chambers 25 years ago. The team will be headed by Acting Superintendent of the Gender-Based Violence Unit, Claire Guy Allen. That was the news in 90 seconds. Back to you, Dwayne.
Thank you, and welcome back to the Youth Wednesdays on the Tobago Updates morning show. You are viewing us live. We have quite a rundown for you here this morning. First, we have for you discussing youth in community development, and we have the Secretary in the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, Pastor Terence Baines. Who do we have next?
We also have coming on to the show Miss Ashley Burnett coming to speak to us about menstrual health and an initiative that they are hosting. She is the founder of Femin It TT, and I am really excited for that interview as well as yours, Dwayne. What else do we have on the rundown?
Right, so following that, we have this day in the history by our lovely Devon Adana. And following that is my interview with Pure Event is the theme. Pure Event is the topic.
You know something, I find within this Tobago space we are seeing a lot of promoters coming out and hosting the events like they were just waiting for the Prime Minister to relax all the COVID-19
well, naturally,
regulations.
you ever see a dog in a kennel lock up? Or it does be? You just come out, run around the place, pee everywhere, as if you're really excited. So it must be expected that all the events must happen, and more so given that Tobago is such a beautiful place of tranquility, aesthetics. Come on, it is the place to have the events.
Right.
You understand? So I welcome that. So for that interview, we're going to be interviewing Ryan Thomas, my apologies. We're going to be interviewing that, and then we're going to close for the day, unfortunately. Right, so guys, I hope you stay tuned. We have a lot for you. Please give us the support and share the live.
Twin, we don't have any birthdays.
Thank you so much.
Right,
I'm
we have
excited.
a lot of birthdays, and we
how
started a trend last week. You have to sing for
no,
these.
you can't. I sang last week. You need to sing this week.
Oh my God, I don't have a singing voice.
So why did you assume that I have a singing voice?
No, because I know you personally, Dwayne, and I know that you have graced many stages.
You see you and Alia always singing, boy.
Well, Dwayne has a beautiful voice. Come on, serenade those special persons today. Make them feel special.
And you can't tell the ladies and them no, but
yes, you can't tell us no.
You can't tell them no at all, because it's trouble. So we're gonna announce the birthdays now. We have Anne-Marie James Henry. A happy birthday to you from the Tobago Updates morning show family. Who do we have next, Jenny?
Well, I'm seeing someone else on the screen.
That's Mr. Dwayne Lyons. Another Dwayne in the space. Big up to you, man. Big up to you. Happy birthday to you. And we have Teresa Guy. Good morning. Trisha Guy, my apologies. Trisha Guy. Happy birthday to you. And we have Terry Cabera. Quite a fumbling of the surname there. Happy birthday to you, my brother. And Melissa Phillips. Lovely, man. Lovely. She nice. Happy birthday to you. Well, no self are singing happy birthday. No self are singing happy birthday. So, I need some honey, please. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to y'all. Alright, so guys,
happy birthday. Thank you so much, Dwayne, for accepting the challenge.
Well, next time you're gonna do a spoken word for the birthday celebrants.
We don't have all that time, Dwayne.
Well, you have until next week. So guys, thank you for joining us. Please stay tuned. We have more. So share the live, share the live, share the live.
Don't want nobody touch my hair, cause a lot of sisters acting too crazy. And them not tough like this, rough like this, and them not nice like this. Some can't take it when you talk true sense. Rather hear the words that glorify nonsense. Yes, and I got my brains, and I'm pretty like my mama. I don't wanna pick your brains, I just want the microphone. Take the mask off your face and look at me face to face. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I wanna share my love, but it's gotta be with someone who's precious. You're never gonna get my love, excepting that you're real
Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning,
Good morning and welcome back to the Youth Wednesdays on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. You're here live and we are going to be discussing youth in community development with the Secretary with responsibility for the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, Pastor, the Honorable Terence Baines. How are you this morning?
I am fine.
You look fine, and I love the colors, man.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
Really the man of the clothing true. No pun intended.
It's a pun, that is a pun intended.
Right.
Yes,
so, you know, you are the secretary of the division of ComDev, is commonly known as ComDev. You know, in coming into office, what was some of the, what has that been like for you thus far? You know.
Yeah. Well, as one can expect, it is a dynamic a dynamic situation. And again, thank you for the opportunity to be on the program, especially because it is a youth program that helps my morale.
Yes,
you
yes.
understand?
Yeah, we consider you a youth man.
Yes.
You're a man of vibes, you know.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, man of
course,
vibes.
of course.
Yeah.
Yes. And like I said, it's a dynamic division. There were several things happening, several good things happening in the division and so on. Most of the people there seem to have a mind to work, have a mind to execute their duties and so on. And so it was my responsibility to do my best to get the lay of the land as quickly as possible. I am not quite there yet, but we are learning. We are guided by some of the minds that are wrong. That kind of helps us to kind of, go in the kind of direction that we should go. And we have to give leadership, at the same time, while you're trying to kind of find your way and so on.
So tell us, what are some of the achievements that you would have gained thus far, in coming into office? It's your 6th month into office?
Yes. Well, we're going into the 6th month, I think. Well, of course, one of the first things that I had to look at, there were a lot of contract issues, a whole lot of, and that's not endemic to our division alone. You understand? Some dating back to since last year, so I tried my best to sign off on most of those things that people could have a sense of comfort and.
So things like gratuity and all those things are part of the issue?
Well, just the mere contract, which will include all the other benefits that come with it and so on. And try to verify some of the things and so on. So we did a considerable amount of those. And of course, remember, we are also managing youth and sport, so we had to also manage that marriage. You understand? And because youth and sport had their own culture, which is understandable. Correct. And so that merger and so on has its own dynamics. Put it that way. So we started doing some of those things and working towards bringing the family under one roof.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Because we, as you can appreciate, part of the family was living in their own apartment, as it were. And that is not to say, I know people like to take everything literal. You understand? But they were in their own place with their own amenities. Right. You understand? And when children by themselves, they have their own rules and they go and come as they want and so on. So to bring them under one roof, we worked and have been working with that. So now pretty much we almost there. We've moved most of the hardware and moved most of the personnel that should come up to the ComDev center. Right. That space, and we hope to have a harmonious relationship going forward so that we can maximize on the gifts and talents of the people that are in the division, and try our best to see if we can better the space from a community development standpoint.
Lovely. Coming into office, we would have noticed in the earlies that there were some challenges with CPEP and salaries and who ain't get pay from who expecting pay and who say. Tell us, what was that like, and can you safely say that that is something that is behind you?
Well, I mean, wherever you have human beings, we are susceptible to flaws and error. Not always on purpose, but that happens. Albeit though, the CPEP scenario, something that I try to manage very delicately from that time. As you can appreciate, you remember the chief secretary and myself as secretary, we had more than one times when we were embarrassed in the public space by information that were given to us You understand? But we try to manage that. We try to manage that and so on. What we find, and this is not, and like I said, it's not endemic to our division alone, that information come to the secretaries, the leaders. You understand? Sometimes the information comes, it is not always timely.
Right.
And sometimes the information comes truncated.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it is what is behind that. But we are facing that in the divisions. We're facing that, some say it may be some kind of pushback we're facing and so on. But albeit, we have tried to manage those things and try to set something in place so that we can have consistency and predictability as it relates to wages of the people that need their wage on time. So the commitment that we gave is to try and optimize the division. We want to have, of course, our eyes would be on the CPEP operations and that kind of stuff to see how we can better the situation. So to say, I would have to be Jehovah to say that there will never be a problem again. But at the same time, we are putting everything in place to make sure that that we minimize the possibility of us having those things happening again.
Right. So, talking about youth development, what are some of the issues your division would have, noted happening in Tobago, and what are some of the mitigative measures through your programming do you have to help with those issues? Right.
Well, I mean, every society has its challenges with the different age groups in the society, and of course Tobago is no different. Pre-COVID, we had our issues, with youth and trying to have comprehensive youth programs and ideal programs to encourage our youth to excel and all of that. COVID comes and COVID adds another layer that has psychological, intellectual, social and spiritual and all the other fallout. You understand? The division has had some programs running that I was very encouraged by when they were explained to me and so on, that they were doing in the various communities, some of the caravans that they were doing and so on. But I think the thing that maybe was a major support was the technical skills training that were done in the communities, because of course, and it was a hybrid platform, in that you had one and two, a few face-to-face classes, and then most of the classes were done virtually and so on. And you had people at home, and human beings are not designed to be locked up that way for an extended period of time. You understand? But what encouraged me most of all, though, is the enthusiasm of people to learn new skills and to be engaged, to better themselves for post-COVID.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? I am of the view that Tobago will be elevated to a place where there will be much more learnt minds and much more skills in the space than before.
Right.
You understand? Some of it may have been because people were compelled to learn a skill, because it is like like when you're in prison, all your skills and all your innovations will come out because you have time to think about stuff.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So I think that that was one of the things that really impressed me, the response of people to some of those programs. Also, we have been talking about a community council of society, and that's not the name of it, but let me put it this way: a district, having district councils. And again, I'm saying that's not the name of it, but I'm just saying that is what it represents, because remember, we are talking about empowering the districts to run their own affairs and to finance their projects and so on. So we started encouraging people to get involved and ready themselves if you have to be a part of your village council and all those kinds of things and so on. But the mindset must be that you must be a part of the decision making of your district.
Right.
You understand?
In my little research, and we're still talking about youth development, you know, I came across 3 pillars of youth development, and it entails healthy lifestyle, academic success, character, and the citizenship.
Yeah.
Can you validate, you know, these pillars being of some importance, and how do you see your present programs and your future programs fulfilling those areas?
Yes.
You know, and kind of link it to how COVID would have pushed the youth to be more innovative.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure about the health with COVID. You understand? I mean, we may have to be a little more robust in streamlining our health
remember
programs.
that health doesn't only entail you know, your physical health,
yes,
but there's mental health.
Right.
You know,
I got you. I thought you were focusing there, but of course, and the thing is, well, we have to also talk about your physical health, because if you're mentally sound but physically unwell, you're still in a problem. Because, right. So of course we consumed a considerable amount of foods and stuff over the past 2 years, which we may not normally, our consumption levels may not have been peaking.
And let me tell you something, you see COVID?
Yes.
I had to say thank God for COVID. I would have eat churches every day.
You understand? I hear you. I hear you. You know, so you have that. And I do agree that while I am not the best proponent of it, that healthy lifestyle, healthy eating has to be a priority matter. Now, I may sound hypocritical because of some of the foods I eat myself, but the Lord will help me, right?
Amen.
Right. But you have that, and the mental health issue. You know, a lot of people, and I'm glad that there's a lot of conversations about mental health now, because people do not have a proper appreciation for what that means. The minute you say mental, people begin to think about insanity, and they begin to, you understand what I'm saying? But having a healthy mindset, you understand? Because mental health has to go broader than just people thinking that you are papers, as we used to say. You understand? And while I am not lettered in these matters, because thinking has a lot to do with what you accomplish and what you go after in this world.
Right.
You understand? So that has to be a critical point.
Yeah, we very much short on time.
Yeah. How time does fly? So when I come here, I don't understand. I don't understand.
I try to understand it myself.
Yeah, I see other men come here. I don't know if it's because I don't have on a suit and tie and thing. I don't understand. We have to talk to Mr. Nana about this business.
Yeah, we got to talk to the producers about that, man.
Of course.
But how do you? I mean,
I'm just joking, Mr. Nana.
You know, we're still on the topic of youth development and sport, and you know, recently we would have witnessed, and you kind of touched on it earlier. You know, the restructuring of the CPEP program. You know, obviously, or there might have been some youth that might have been a part of the restructuring process. You know, how would you reconcile, or how do you balance? You know, the skills as it pertains to restructuring and youth unemployment being a issue faced by youth, you know, during the restructuring.
I understand.
And not just limited to you, but your administration.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to dive into the whole CPEP restructuring thing, because that is a matter, you know, there are minds that are waiting in the wings for further. You understand? The process is ongoing, and I suffice it to say though that we are concerned about all the persons who are in the division. We have several youth programs that are afoot, and the person to speak more definitively on the youth affairs while I can make general comments, is Mr. Clark, of course, because those things fall directly under his purview. But suffice it to say that we have to run a division, and that division has several components, and we are trying to optimize that and that has to be in concourse with the philosophy of the administration. And it requires a lot of work. It requires making some decisions that are not necessarily popular, but it is necessary that those decisions be made, and so on. So we are very, very concerned, and we are going to continue to do the best that we can to make everybody find every race find an equal place. You understand?
Yes, and my final question to you, because we just short on about up with time.
Yes.
What are some of the programs for youth development that we can expect?
Well, I mean, it would to give you all the exactitudes of that, and maybe this requires a mandate to Mr. Clark to come and give you the full gamut of everything. Just talking about that alone, you understand? And I don't want to misrepresent the programs. That I don't have all of them off my head, but I have seen a listing of them, some innovative things and stuff, and it's going to be a whole large spectrum of rollout, and I believe there is credence in perhaps having another program just to talk about that alone.
Yes. I agree. I very much agree. Hopefully we could get a whole hour like the Chief Secretary. Or
of course, we will make the necessary representation.
Hint.
Yes.
Right. Yes. So Pastor Baines, we want to thank you for being here this morning. It was very much lovely to have you here, and thank you for sharing. Guys, that is it for this interview. Remember that we will be right back. We have more for you. Share the live, share the live, share the live.
Tobago in May. Prices are sweet like mango at Thorns Place. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Call now 745-7306 for our May special, starting at 200 TT at Thorns Place. Prices are sweet like mango.
Are you looking for that all-in-one shopping experience? Then look no more. Visit Lamb's Best Mart for your grocery items, fruits and vegetables, drinks, home items, stationery, gift items, hampers, shopping gift cards, toiletries, small hardware items, and much more. We provide order and pickup service, even delivery to your door. We are your friendly community supermarket. Check us out today at Lamb's Best Mart, located at 22 Daniel Trace Canby, or visit us on social media at Lamb's Best Mart. Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules, or if you are having a cooking day off.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving moving from place to place.
Welcome back viewers to the Tobago Updates morning show. It's all about Youth Wednesdays, and today we have a very interesting topic. We are going to be speaking about menstruation, a very touchy issue to many of our women here in Trinidad and Tobago and globally. So please, you want to pay attention and you want to soak in all this information. This morning we are going to be joined with Ashley Burnett, founder of Feminit TT. She is querying and carrying the Caribbean forward. She's a Trinbagonian born writer and advocate. She is a 2020 Women Deliver leader. Good morning, and how are you?
Hi, good morning. I'm good. I'm really excited to be here.
All right, thank you. So let's get right into it. Describe the genesis of Feminit.
Yes. So Feminine was born back in 2020 in February, and it was born out of a need that we would have seen for there to be gender transformative education as a tool for us to actually achieve gender equality in Trinidad and Tobago. And so we are currently made up of a core team of 7 members with over 20 volunteers, and we really work within the realm of looking at sexual and reproductive health and rights, as well as ending gender-based violence. And so we try to merge the bridges of policy advocacy and service delivery to bring people to that point of really understanding what are the issues that affect us and what roles we can play in ensuring we achieve gender equality.
All right, that sounds so interesting. But from the inception of this organization, what are some milestones that you all have been able to achieve thus far?
Yeah, so I think in 2020, we would have had our first major partnership with the United Nations, ECLAC, which is the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, where we would have done a project for safety native activism. And this project was also done with the High Commission of Canada, seeking to develop material for people to understand child abuse and the roles that they play in ending child abuse. And then we would have gotten funding from Women Deliver to do the Safe Cycle project, and the Safe Cycle project is an ending period poverty project, and the first iteration looked at assessing the rates of period poverty in Trinidad and Tobago, as well as distributing 120 period kits. And we would have done this first part of the project in collaboration with a couple of NGOs, Caribbean Feminists, Lily Pads project, and of course from Tobago, Youth Elevating Youths, which is founded by Aaliyah Holder. And so we also would have recently done the Right Way in the community of Buenos Aires in Point Fortin, Trinidad, which is also allowing communities to be able to take back, that ownership of community solutions and community care, specifically looking at the national sexual and reproductive health policy that allows people to understand what are their rights when it comes to their sexual and reproductive health.
Quite interesting work that you are undertaking. On April 30th, you launched your fourth cycle of the Safe Cycle Care Bank, asking persons to donate pads, tissues, wipes, and other sanitary products. What was the real motivation for this initiative? Was it that you saw a need nationally? Is it that many of our young girls and women here in Trinidad and Tobago do not have adequate access to these products? Tell us about your real inspiration.
Yes, so the team back in 2020, when we did the report, we realized that on average, based on the responses, people spent about $100 per month for maintaining their menstrual cycles. And in that report, we would have come up with 10 recommendations, and these 10 recommendations sought to ensure that we achieved menstrual equity. And what is menstrual equity? It is making sure that people have adequate access to menstrual health education and period products, because we know period poverty isn't just about having the period products, but it's also ensuring that they have water and sanitation facilities and the education needed to maintain a safe menstrual cycle. And so from that report, we realized that it was important that people actually have free menstrual products. And yes, some people, it's very hard for people to understand, like, how can someone not afford pads? But it's a very clear reality that we have seen. And so one of the recommendations looked at ensuring that there was a Menstrual Equity Act But of course, we know that the road to ensuring legislation is a very long one. And waiting for that to actually be implemented, it means that people will still not have access to period products. So we decided that we were going to set up care banks across Trinidad and Tobago where people will have access to free products. And this is in a way that we don't even need to get the information as to who is accessing the products, but just making sure that they have access to it. And so to date, we have 4 banks. There is all 4 in Trinidad, but on Menstrual Health Day in May, we are working to establish one a pop-up in Tobago, and then in June we are actually coming to Tobago physically. We'll be working with the Bell Gardens Primary School and JCI Tobago to establish a couple of care banks and to do some workshops.
I am really pleased that you are bringing your initiative over here in Tobago. Big up you on that. But you know something? In 2020, Scotland passed the Period Products Free Provision Act, which allows for anyone to have free access to sanitary products, and they have even mandated that schools and universities provide these products within their washrooms for students to access at their convenience. Is this something that you think we here in Trinidad and Tobago can pattern from? And to add to that question, do you think that that legislation was a step in the right direction?
Most definitely. And I think Scotland is one of the countries that we look at when it comes to ensuring that there is menstrual equity. And so this is what we would have suggested when it comes to the Menstrual Equity Act. It looks at the provision of free menstrual products for all and ensuring that social institutions actually are mandated to provide this. But it will definitely require the government, private and the public sector to work together to ensure this happens, because we know that pads aren't expensive. On average, it takes about $1,000 to $1,200 TT dollars to actually stock a care bank. And that is just on one instance. Imagine having to do it every month. And so it just goes to show how much money people actually have to spend. But I definitely think it is a step in the right direction, because if you think about gender equality and looking at access to live a life that is of the highest standard that we are all entitled to, we have to reduce the instances of discrimination, and also ensuring that people are able to access the opportunities that they have. We know that a lot of people are unable to attend school, attend work, and different activities because they do not have access to period products. And look at that. That's like about, on average, 4 to 7 days that someone has to stay home from work or school because they don't have the products, or they might opt in to use alternative products, which we know, because people actually use socks, they use tissue, and those products can cause medical complications. And of course, we know that to solve the issue, it's going to cost a lot of money to see a gynecologist. So it's definitely a step in the right direction as it seeks to reduce the instance of inaccessibility, but also to ensure that people actually get what they need to live a quality life.
You know, from perusing your page, I spotted quotes on body image, and I thought that this was something so pertinent. Is there any real linkage between body image and menstruation? Can that period in time affect the way you feel about your body? I know some persons may have their insecurities, but for you, do you see any real linkages between menstruation and body image?
I mean, of course, well, there are different people who experience, the premenstrual syndrome, differently. And then there's also a step further looking at PMDD, which is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, where you do experience, instances of some people actually have depressive episodes. And we know that everything is quite linked. When you experience different fluctuations in your hormones in your body, and you do experience negative emotions, there are some people who need to get medical assistance to ensure that they are able to live a quality life when it comes to that linkage between menstrual health and mental health. And I think it's it's definitely linked because it affects the way that you see yourself. It can affect the way that you feel. And I think there needs to be a wider conversation for us to understand a linkage between menstrual health and mental health. And we would have done a post about that to help people to understand that it is real. It's not something to make fun of, and we have to do better at ensuring that people don't, make the jokes like, "Why get more that you're in a period or what?" Because it makes people not want to talk about it. But we have a lot to go when it comes to our culture. But yes, there's definitely some impact there.
All right, being the female empowerment leader that you are, what advice can you give to the young adults or mature women who may be ashamed of their bodies during that period of menstruation?
Yeah, so I would say like I work to ensure resources for everyone, not just women and girls. But I think it's important for us to debunk myths and stigma. And while we believe that this is not solely a woman's issue, it affects everyone. And I think it's important for us to get the requisite knowledge to understand mental health and mental health education. But this is a completely normal bodily process that that some of us do go through, and this does not make you unclean. It does not make you, any less than. It is something that you must ensure that you take rest for because you are bleeding. But we have to do a lot, with our culture, because it's one thing for one person to feel empowered and yes, I'm positive about my period. But if spaces don't allow for that comfort, that level of comfort and conversation, then that empowerment can only go so far. So I would say we have to normalize the conversation and for us to understand that menstruation affects people differently. And so even if you think it's not painful, for some other person it's painful. So extend grace, love, and care to those you come into contact with.
Extend love, grace, and care with persons you come into contact with. And just for information purposes, our viewers online, they are hearing you speak about menstrual health. What does it really mean to have true good menstrual health? Like, what are some of the defining characteristics?
Of course. So menstrual health, it ensures that you can actually have a safe menstrual cycle where you're caring for your wellness and you're caring for yourself. And so it's important that you are able to see a gynecologist to make sure everything's okay, because there are different types of medical complications when it comes to menstruation. There are people who experience something called endometriosis. There is PCOS, which is quite common amongst Caribbean people. And so ensuring that you have good menstrual health ensures that you have the proper vitamins to take, the proper food to take, having access to menstrual products, but also if you do have a medical condition, that you have the adequate amount of medication to take to be able to live that quality lifestyle. And there are health centers, and this is something that we have to constantly explore, is the capacity of health centers to ensure that people can actually have good menstrual health. And so we know that there are health centers that has a gynecology unit attached to it, but there aren't always the times where they are active or accessible. And so we have to figure out how can we ensure that health centers are actually optimized for people to be able to experience good menstrual health. And one thing that I really want to draw attention to is period poverty. When we think about why can't someone just ask for a pad, right? And having access to menstrual products is also ensuring menstrual health. And so we have to create a space where people actually feel comfortable, because one thing about the care bank, right? We can't just set up a care bank in any random space, like say put it in City Gate, because people are not going to readily take something. There is that thing we always say, people saying that people rarely like handouts, right? But if people are in need, it's not a handout, you're assisting. I think it's our duty as human beings to help each other, but we have to break that culture of where we demonize people from needing help. And so you see a lot of people who don't opt into asking for help or even taking free products because they feel as if they'll be a burden. And so all of that is looking at menstrual health, because health is mental health, it's physical health, it's emotional health, it's all forms of health, right? And so we have to take that that multifaceted approach when we think about ensuring menstrual health, good menstrual health.
All right, thank you. That was a wealth of information. But I would just like to make a little mischief here. There are a lot of myths associated with menstruation, right? And you know, a lot of persons believe that this is a period of uncleanliness and you are impure. You would hear a person say that. And interestingly, I was doing some research and prepping for this interview. I would have researched some of the myths, and one of the most common myths is that you cannot have sex while you are on your period. And interestingly, from the data that I have seen, it's actually something that is safe based on what I have seen. And in fact, some would even argue that, you know, when you have sex on your period, it relieves some of the menstrual pains that you are feeling. So it's therapeutic. So I would just like to engage you a bit. Do you believe that it is okay to have sex on your period? Is this a stigma that we should really kind of eradicate?
So based on data, as you rightfully said, there isn't anything wrong with having sex on your period. And I think what really hinders people from doing that is, of course, the myths and stigma attached to menstruation of it being unclean, not unclean. And it's just the breakdown of the uterine walls, which is something that is quite natural once there is an unfertilized egg. So once you're not pregnant, and you do experience like normal menstruation, that is bound to happen. So like anything, like if you get a cut or whatever, your blood is not unclean. When it becomes, unclean, as any blood that decomposes after it escapes the body, and if it's on your pad, you don't change your pad, which is why it's important to change your pad, within a stipulated time, because then you can get, you're risking, bacteria, which is why when we think about the conversation of menstrual health, I opt out of saying menstrual hygiene, because sometimes hygiene can give that connotation of it being unclean, and menstruation in itself is not unclean, right? But the data does show that it is okay to have sex on your period, and the thing is that it increases that happy hormone which allows you to either experience less pain or a better mood, because we know that your menstruation can alter your mood based on the hormone fluctuation. And so, yes, the data does say that you can have sex on your period, and I think I always believe in science.
All right, thank you so much for sharing with us. And on that whole concept of breaking stigmas, you know, a lot of women also feel as if they are incompetent during their period. So a lot is like life, your everyday lifestyle is impeded because you're on your period and you're experiencing so much pains and you feel as if you cannot operate as normal. I can tell you personally, my menstrual cycle is, well, my menstruation rather, is something that is not quite enjoyed, and a lot of women can attest to this. But how can we as women strike that balance and still be able to carry out our everyday functions? Because sometimes a lot of us just give excuses. Oh, my period, I can't do this or I can't do that. But you know, sometimes how can we strike that balance?
Yeah. So I think we have to figure out what does balance actually look like. Because if you are experiencing any form of discomfort with your health, if you are experiencing pain, if you have a really bad headache, I'm pretty sure people don't ever say strike the balance and continue your work. They say, no, you should go home and rest, right? And I think with the pandemic, we've realized how important rest is when it comes to if you have ever experienced, contracting the COVID-19 virus. And I think what happens is that people usually say, well, you're menstruating for like almost this amount of years, so you should be accustomed by now. But there are people who actually experience real pain and experience exhaustion, are actually incapacitated to be able to, do what is, their usual routine. And what I think we have to do is to normalize being able to get that rest and to get that time away from work, from whatever, obligation that you have to rest, because you are experiencing a process that can take a toll on the body. And I just want to commend, there's an organization, a company here in Trinidad and Tobago, Media Insight, that actually offers their employees paid period leave, right? So if you are menstruating, you can get time off. If your partner is menstruating, even though your partner is not a part of the company and they are menstruating, because they understand that someone who's menstruating can experience, really adverse effects, and they need that support. My period, I am nauseous my first 2 days are really bad and I literally can't function. And there's no way that I can strike a balance there to say, no, I'm going to work from home on my laptop, crouched over with like a heated pack on my stomach. You need to rest. So I think it's really, removing that stigma from menstruation when it comes to, oh, you can just do this, right? And I think this is something that even older women have to encourage, because my mom would have told me, like, her mother would have said that this period pain not real. We don't experience that. And she would have been in a lot of pain. And so older folks, because it's not something that has been talked about a lot, and thinking that you're supposed to be fine with it trickles down into how they treat with younger people who are menstruating. And I think we have a lot of work to do with that. So I would say the balance isn't about trying to see how you can function with it, but it's how you can make sure you have room for people to actually be able to care for themselves during while they're menstruating.
Paid period leave, that is something that we can definitely consider. I like the sound of that. But as we wrap up this interview, I would like to give you the opportunity to tell our viewers how they can contribute to this Safe Cycle Care Bank. You could drop us all the contact information, the locations, and all of that kind of information.
Yes. So on May 28th, Youth Elevating Youths in Tobago will be hosting a pop-up as part of our Menstrual Health Day activation. So you can get in touch with Youth Elevating Youths on Instagram, and it's run by Aliyah Holder. And then we're having two pop-ups in Trinidad and Tobago. We're yet to confirm the South location, but we're doing one at Roots Yard in Trinidad and Tobago, which is in Maraval. So you can be able to donate at those locations. And we're also launching a mural and distributing products at Five Rivers Junction in Aruka, happening then. I will be in Tobago from the 12th to the 14th of June, so we will be able to connect there. If you would like to donate or set up a care bank, you can email us at safecyclebyfeminate@gmail.com, or you can call us at 735-9828. You can WhatsApp us, iMessage, Telegram, any of the platforms that you're on, to get in contact with us to ensure that we can, achieve menstrual equity together.
Thank you so much, Ashley Burnett, founder of Feminate. You are watching the Tobago Updates morning show. Stay tuned. We have This Day in Tobago History coming up.
This Day in Tobago History. Did you know that on May 18, 1699, petition to settle Tobago was denied by the King in Council, King James II? According to Douglas Archibald's Tobago Melancholy Isle, 323 years ago today, or at least on March 30th, Sir William Waller petitioned the king to settle Tobago. In his petition, he stated that he and his associates, which included Baron de Blomberg, who was the envoy of His Highness the Duke of Corlon, had agreed and contracted with King James II's brother and predecessor, the late King Charles II, to colonize the island of Tobago. However, Sir Waller was not the only one with his eye on Tobago, as one Captain Points hastily submitted his own petition on the 2nd of May of that year to the Council for Trade and Plantations. He requested that he be heard by the council before any report be made about the settlement. He made his claim to settle Tobago via the Duke of Corlon. In the council's report to the Secretary of State, they contended that they had fully inquired into and debated the matter of settling Tobago as it relates to Sir Waller's petition. They continued that Sir Waller's petition, which was being claimed by his associations with Blomberg, failed because the Duke of Corlon had not observed the stipulations of the grant made by the late King Charles II in 1664. As a result, the grant was void in law, and further, the late king declared he was unable to allow the Duke nor his subjects to settle Tobago. An order of council was issued at Kensington Court upholding the decision of the council and further gave of Barbados to discourage any undertakings with regard to the settlement of the island of Tobago. You've been watching This Day in Tobago History. My name is Devon Adana. Be sure to join us after the break.
Advertise with Tobago Updates. Call 284-6597. If you have a small or large business, we can get your information in front of the masses. Reach our rapidly growing viewership on Facebook and YouTube. Promote your brand in Trinidad and the Caribbean through M&E TV Now and Gayel. Yes, we can build unique ads for your business. Call now 284-6597 and advertise with us.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Welcome
Good
back to the
morning.
Youth Morning on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We are here live. We just had an interview about youth development. We had an interview about feminine hygiene, and now we're going to wrap things up with some vibes this morning. This morning we have the event called Pure Escape is the theme with Keon Thomas. Keon Thomas, welcome, man. Rian Thomas. Yeah. I don't know why I keep saying Keon. What is he saying?
I just cool, man.
Nice. So so tell us about this event. Tell us about yourself and the organization.
Pure basically is an all-white event, coolers, food inclusive.
What do you mean food inclusive? You have to bring your own food?
No,
potluck?
No.
Okay.
Food, you come and you get food, any kind of food, right?
So is this do you see this as a first feature like this in an event? I mean, I ain't really a feta thing,
really,
but
not really.
So what kind of food you could expect? So crab and dumpling and
any food. From wontons to doubles, you name it.
All right.
Live fish broth on spot, roasting a pork on spot,
Okay.
A whole lot.
Nice. So what is the name of the group that you represent putting on this event?
BOI Entertainment.
BOI.
Boy. Yeah, Boy Entertainment.
Okay. So what does those initials represent?
Brothers of Innovation.
Brothers of Innovation. And is this a Tobago based group, or is it based in Trinidad?
Fully Tobago.
Nice, man. Good stuff.
Yeah,
Straight
from Tobago.
Right. So why this event? Why the team Pure? Why you think?
Because you see, Pure is things in it, goodness, good vibes, purity,
So
just come about by me and my brethren, sit a day and say, you don't have a white event in Tobago, like a proper white, all white and niceness now. So we come up with the name Pure, and that's in 2017,
right?
And from there, just on.
I just want to touch briefly on what are some of the other events that you would have put out since all you started and only established all yourselves?
Well, since then it's only this one. Only Pure.
And is it right?
We try to focus on it so we go grow until it be this big nice event in Tobago.
Great. Yeah. So where is this event carded to take place? Where?
At the Martino's Mansion, Patience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
May 30th.
May 30th. Yeah. And what day is that? Is that a weekend?
No, that's a Monday. That's on the holiday.
So it's a holiday, right.
Yeah.
So people like me don't have to take no time off from work and so on.
And if you might have to take a time off the next day.
The next day. That's one thing, man. I don't think my boss go fire me.
Calling sick.
Yeah, because according to, I don't know who sing the song, tell the admin. Right, I think I might have seen that from the admin the following day if I do attend. Yeah. But how do we get in touch with this event? Are there tickets?
Yeah, there's tickets at outlets. Classic Cuts.
Right, Keelan is my boy,
Yeah,
go big up Keelan on the live, big up yourself.
You can get that Trade Monkey barcode. If you're in Castor side, Dory.
Right.
Good Goddess in Government House Road.
Nice.
And other Mighty Detailers Car Washing Cordwall Phase 2. Yeah, big up them there.
Right, big up them, man. Big up them. So
and then the hotline.
What is the price for the tickets? price for the
Standing
tickets?
now is 300.
300.
TT.
Any VIP? I like VIP. That is the only reason I come here.
The whole event is VIP.
Yeah,
You don't single out nobody at this and that. The whole event is VIP, you understand?
All right.
VIP.
All right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that the people could bring their cooler and thing. Any restrictions?
Yeah, no
I could bring a big bottle, a jug of punching and thing with the glass. I could bring
plastic.
A plastic.
Yeah, but you can't come with a big jug like.
Maybe I can't come with a big jug.
What I mean, so you.
I don't drink. I'm a man of the cloth. but I think I
but yeah, but Donald Jones, it's no oversized cooler, no glass bottles, unless you're bringing a.
Yeah, because some we just want to overdo the thing. So just recommend to those who are intended or interested in coming. What size of coolers you recommend? Right? What size is too big?
A too big cooler? Yeah. If I tell you a too big cooler, a too big cooler could be. You see them cooler could hold about 2 bottles. That good enough?
2 bottles.
Yeah.
Right,
come
good,
and
nice.
bring no big cooler.
Yeah.
But this cooler is supposed to be in by 7. After that, no more coolers.
No more coolers.
Allowed, you understand?
And are there special prizes or special treatment for the man that bring the most girls?
That'll happen on the day.
It happen on the day? Yeah. Alright,
Anything's possible in pure, you understand?
Right. So I know we don't have much time. Just tell us quickly, what are some of the other events, given that this would be a success, do you see this being a staple in Tobago, something that is ongoing, this pure event?
Yeah.
Right, and go ahead.
So we have other events lined up now, but not to let it out the back.
Right, you take your time. Yeah.
But this one we're trying to work on pure as best as.
Lovely, and it seems like a first event of this nature for such a long time.
Right.
Just comment a bit on the importance of this event coming out from COVID. It was on a lockdown. I just made the analogy earlier about when a dog in a kennel for so long, how it does behave. So just tell us how important this is for you and Tobago and even Trinidad and the wider region.
Well, coming out of COVID, is stress.
Yeah.
And this could come like a nice stress reliever. You come out here, enjoy yourself. As the team said, the great escape.
Great escape, man.
You come out here, like yourself, you bring your friends, your team, your family, whoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's an event that you should look
right. I have 2 more questions for you, big man. 2 more questions and I'm done with you. Right? That is also unfortunate, right? But small thing. Do you see yourself, Carnival is coming up just now.
Yeah.
Just tell us, do you see being a band or offering anything for Carnival coming up in October? You don't want to let out the secret? Yeah. Alright, no problem. Sorry for asking. Sorry for minding him.
Don't do that.
But that is why if you didn't want me to know your business, you should not come here this morning. You should send somebody else. Just joking, man.
Yeah.
But finally, just big up your DJs and all the special people that are going to be there to blend to the event.
The DJs we have is that we let out so far because we're doing it. You understand? We have a young team of DJs that is with Bachak and Hyper G and Song Assassin.
Right.
A team that just still capture
that team is song Wicked Bachak boy and Team Assassin.
And we have Caution and
nice.
Apollo, and some others. By this week they will be released on the Instagram page and WhatsApp and Facebook.
Great. And just before you go, just direct the people to your social media handles, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And if you want, you could give them your number.
You could follow us on BY Entertainment 868. That is Instagram. The Facebook page not up right now. But
okay. Tentative.
Right. You can also contact us at 383-0573 or 352-0812.
I just repeat the numbers for them again.
383-0573 or 352-0812.
Right, guys. So there you have it. We have with us Keon Thompson this morning, just promoting.
All kind of name, man.
Rian Thomas. Oh gosh, is the excitement, man. Forgive me, right? We go talk after, right? We have Rian Thomas with us promoting the Pure Escape event, brought to us by the BOI Entertainment Group. right? So just follow them on their various social media handles, reach out to them, and please support the event. I know all you want to Lime and Vibes on Indian Arrival Day. So don't just eat your curry. When you finish eat your curry, all you head down to the place. Just give them the time again.
40:11. You have enough time to sleep.
All right, good. 40:11, 40:11, and the party might go a little later than that. But just lend to the occasion. And thank you for being here, Mr. Thomas.
Yeah,
we're looking forward to seeing you at your event. Right? So Tobago Updates will be covering your event.
Sure.
Free entry.
Yeah.
All right, just saying. So guys, we go for a short break and we'll be right back. Remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. You are live on the Youth Morning Show, on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We have just wrapped it up there for you guys. Unfortunately, what a packed and fun-filled rundown for you this morning. So, Miguel, how was your interview?
I really enjoyed the interview. It was a very fruitful discussion, and even though you are male, I hope that you were paying attention.
Of course.
Because I'm sure that you are mating, and you have to take into consideration.
Mating?
Yes, mating. You know?
Nah, me meet there yet, man. Take time, not lazy. Me
Okay.
meeting yet, right?
All right. Well,
but
future reference
for
then.
future references, of course, I will. But I do pay very keen attention to the importance of menstrual cycle and women. For men, it traditionally is either laughed or scorned.
Right.
And for me, I see it very important. In fact, I have heard women praise men who take this thing very seriously. For me, I enjoy buying the comfort foods and so on for the little girlfriend when she going through she cycle and thing, just to make the thing look easy now, because you know we ain't understand that pain there. You understand? But you know I do see the importance of it, and it's a great initiative that that was just talked about in your interview. Well done.
Right, and how was your interview?
Man, my two interview was real nice, man. Real nice, real nice. But we're short for time, unfortunately. So
stay tuned. We have GMT Good Morning Tobago coming up with Candice and Denicia. Remember to stay tuned to the Tobago updates. And remember, share the live.
Share the live.
Share the live.
Enjoy your day. Bye.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Tobago in May. Prices are sweet like mango at Thorns Place. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Call now 745-7306 for our May special, starting at 200 TT at Thorns Place. Prices are sweet like mango.
Are you looking for that all-in-one shopping experience? Then look no more. Visit Lamb's Best Mart for your grocery items, fruits and vegetables, drinks, home items, stationery, gift items, hampers, shopping gift cards, toiletries, small hardware items, and much more. We provide order and pickup service, even delivery to your door. We are your friendly community supermarket. Check us out today at Lamb's Best Mart, located at 22 Daniel Trace Canby, or visit us on social media at Lamb's Best Mart.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power, we are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers, we are melanated ones.
Minority leader is concerned that the tendering process was corrupted. THA hoped for more allocations in the mid-year review. Police sets up a team to investigate reports of child abuse. And in sports, above average fitness triathlon was a success. Good morning, Tobago. I am Candice Jackson. And I am Denise Dempster. It is Wednesday, 18th May 2022. Let's get into our top story. Minority Leader Kelvon Morris is concerned about a possible breach in a tendering process recently. During a press conference at the Minority Council's headquarters in Scarborough yesterday, Morris drew the media's attention to a tender by the Division of Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment and Sustainable Development. The tender was to procure management services for the reforestation and watershed rehabilitation program. Morris alleges that a family member of a senior elected assemblyman might have corrupted the process.
Were there any submissions after the allotted deadline of May 12th, 2022 at 1 p.m.? And to put it in layman terms, did anyone show up to hand in a tender after the deadline of 1 p.m. on the 12th of May?
Morris is calling on the Secretary of the Division, Natisha Charles Panton, to provide answers on possible interventions made against tendering rules and regulations.
Can the Secretary deny or confirm whether instructions were given to accept the tender after the deadline date of 12th May 2022 at 1 p.m.?
An investigation has been launched into the allegations after it was posted on social media. However, the minority leader claims he has evidence that will implicate senior members of the Executive Council and warn them against tampering with the evidence.
And therefore, no evidence, including the video evidence that is available to those investigating this matter, there should be no attempt to remove, alter, or delete that video evidence that would confirm the facts of.
Meanwhile, Secretary Charles Panton, on a post on social media, stated that she was not in the building at the time of the alleged incident. She has since requested a report from the board regarding the details of that tendering process.
In another post, Charles Panton stated she noticed that the concerned voices were silent under the previous administration when questionable contracts were awarded. She is also waiting on a report on how contracts were hired in the past.
A financial institution unable to retrieve funds from the THA has led to 53 daily paid workers in the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection without their fortnightly pay. According to a release from the division, all of the wages were processed through the automated clearinghouse system. However, a recent check of the division bank account revealed that the payment of wages for the fortnight period 15th to the 28th of April 2022 was rejected from one banking institution only. All workers processed through other banking institutions received their pay. The division apologized to workers and assured they are trying to resolve the matter as quickly as possible. No timelines were provided to when the affected workers can receive their pay or what caused the financial institution to reject the payment.
Meanwhile, the minority leader Kelvin Morris is wondering if the delay in wages has anything to do with poor fiscal management by the PDP-led THA.
Is it that the accounts of the THA was in overdraft to the point that the check basically in layman terms bounced?
Morris raised concerns that the situation might be an indication of financial institutions losing confidence in the THA.
They would have gone to work, they would have done their part, and now the THA is in a position perhaps where we are unable to meet our obligations. And it also speaks to whether we are getting the kind of financial management that is required at this time.
In some other news, over 200 students from the YTEP Skills Training Program graduated yesterday. The graduation ceremony took place at the Magdalena Grand Hotel and Golf Resort under the theme, Do Something Worth Remembering. Here is more in this report.
Do Something Worth Remembering was the theme for YTEP's graduation ceremony. Featured speaker Chief Secretary Fali Augustine says graduates should be inspired to push the boundaries.
So I hope this something worth remembering that you will do will be something that is immensely positive. Think beyond and outside of the box. In fact, destroy the box, burn up the box, throw away the box. And if there's a key, fling it away too. Because your world should never be confined by four walls.
Graduate Arthur Goddard is doing just that. After managing his own business, helping other business owners with websites and online content, Goddard got the opportunity to study medicine.
It was a very hard decision to make, but I chose to master my skill. I chose my skills because it wouldn't just be my clients that I will be disappointing. It will be the 500,000 visitors to their sites and who depend upon their digital business that I'll be disappointing as well.
Graduates received certificates in agro-processing, commercial food preparation, dressmaking and design, childcare, and more. Member of the Board of Directors, Cecile Beckles, says YTEP is poised to build Tobago's human capital for the future.
With YTEP's ability to adapt and customize training to meet the demands of focus sectors of Tobago's economy, we are well poised to deliver community-based training, technology-enabled learning programs, and ICT upskilling.
According to the valedictorian Camille Trim, it is already producing success.
Our skill led us down the path where we are now selling vegetables at wholesale stores, or panels are being hung at churches and offices, or some of these products are being sold in the biggest supermarkets throughout the length and breadth of Tobago.
For Tobago Updates, I am Candice Jackson.
The Tobago House of Assembly was not allocated its fair share in the mid-year budget review when central government sought to increase the national budget by $3.089 billion, according to economists in the Division of Finance, Trade and Economy, Anselm Richards. He was speaking on the Tobago Updates morning show. Here is more in this report.
The THA was allocated $62 million in the mid-year budget review, while central government sought to increase the national budget by $3.089 billion. According to economists in the Division of Finance, Anselm Richards, THA's allocation represents 1.59% of the national budget, below the Dispute Resolution Committee ruling of 4.03%.
The figure came $3.081 billion. If we do the arithmetic, Tobago should have been awarded or allocated $120.9 million if we go to the law and what the convention has been.
Richard says the THA originally requested $225 million to address an inherited debt.
He inherited an assembly with a liability of $738 million, right? And that does not include the $164 million borrowed through bond financing, which becomes due at the end of in June of 2027.
The $62 million allocated will settle arrears for helicopter services to the hospital, gratuity for TRHA workers, and TNTech. Richard believes the Minister of Finance owes the THA an explanation.
The fact of the matter is that the mid-year review is an extension of the budget. You go back to Parliament to increase the budget. That's what it is about. If you are changing the composition and the value of the national budget, then whatever addition you are bringing to the table must subject to the convention of how that is shared between Trinidad and Tobago.
In 2020, the mid-year budget review expanded the national budget by $2.6 billion and allocated $105 million to the THA, equaling 4.03%. During the 6-6 THA deadlock in 2021, the central government expanded the budget by $2.9 billion and approved $80 million for Tobago, amounting to 2.75%. For Tobago Updates, I am Candice Jackson.
In response to the THA's allocation of 1.59% of the supplemented national budget, Minority Leader Kelvon Morris says the PDP need to prove that they can manage the island's affairs prudently before more is given.
That because remember we get quarterly allocations, and if you are not able to show that I've been properly utilizing that allocation, then it goes to follow that it will be difficult to give you more if you come from.
The PDP THA inherited a debt worth almost $1 billion from the previous PNM administration. When asked if the PNM should shoulder some responsibility for leaving behind such a large debt, Morris disagreed.
I'm not saying that at all. In fact, debt is a continuum, and once you are involved in development, you will incur debt over time. So what I'm saying is that we now have to have a clear plan of action as to how we utilize the allocation to ensure that when we go to the Division of Finance, that we're in a place that we can justify that we in fact require and need more money.
Included in the $1 billion debt are outstanding payments to contractors for road repair works, the Roxborough Hospital, gratuity, and arrears for various services. The THA was allocated $62 million from the central government to liquidate some of that debt.
And now in some national news, the Progressive Empowerment Party is calling on Finance Minister Carm Imbert to prove that they have collected enough valuations to enforce the property tax. During the question and answer time in Parliament on Monday, Imbert revealed that the government intends to institute property tax by the end of December 2022. The PEP reached out to their attorneys to use the Freedom of Information Act to determine if voluntary valuations were collected. The law states that property tax cannot be imposed on the country unless 50% of voluntary valuations are collected. The PEP is insisting the government's haste to pick the pockets of citizens while the country enjoys an energy boom should leave a sour taste in the mouths of all those whose properties the minister intends to set arbitrary rental values on. The party believes that such a move will burden the population that is struggling to adjust with the rapidly increasing inflation and taxes in the economy.
Switching to crime, Acting Commissioner of Police MacDonald Jacobs says a special team is being set up to investigate reports of abuse at children's homes across the country. This comes on the heels of an explosive Judith Jones report detailing physical and sexual abuse suffered by children in homes at the hands of other residents and caregivers. According to an article in the Guardian newspapers, they will also be investigating the recently serviced Robert Sabga report detailing the abuse and murder of 11-year-old Akil Chambers 25 years ago. The team will be headed by Acting Superintendent of the Gender-Based Violence Unit, Claire Guy Allen. The primary focus of the investigations will be on the allegations in the more recent Jones report, as they are still searching for a copy of the 25-year-old Sabga report. If located, Jacob noted the allegations will have to be evaluated to determine which allegations are still viable to pursue. He said they are also digging into their archives to determine if the police began any investigations back then into the allegations presented in the Sabga report. The report alleged that high-ranking PNM officials were involved in the rape and murder of young Chambers. In Parliament on Monday, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley called on the police to launch an immediate investigation into the Sabga and Jones reports.
Alright, well, when we return from the break, we will get into some sports, so don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago. Turning now to some national news. The first triathlon event in Tobago for the year was a successful one. Above average fitness in collaboration with the Trinidad and Tobago Triathlon Federation in Buku last Saturday. The event also served as the final qualifying event for athlete selection for the Commonwealth Games. In the end, Jason Castillo was the overall winner in 1 hour, 3 minutes and 6 seconds. The first female to complete swim, ride and run was Jenna Ross. Several local relay teams was also participated in the event, which was a prelude to the upcoming annual Rainbow Cup.
Alright, and now on to some news of football. St. Clair's Coaching School and FC Tobago Phoenix recorded wins at the Montgomery Recreation Ground last weekend in the Tiger Tanks Under 20 Invitational Tournament. First place St. Clair's Coaching School emerged with a 4-1 win over Stokelyville FC. Jean Paul, Stephen Froy, Colin Sargent and Tyreek Dennis were on target for St. Clair's Coaching School when Deshaun Rochford scored in the 54th minute for Cellar Place Stokelyville. Sargent is the leading goal scorer in the tournament with 6 goals. Meanwhile, FC Tobago Phoenix rapped Bethel United 3-0. Shaquille Carrington scored in the 42nd minute, Jeremiah Bristol was on target in the 45th minute, and Jareel Arthur completed the scoring in the 64th minute goal.
Let us take a look at the weather forecast from the TNT Met Office. For the period today until tonight, a few early morning showers will give way to a mostly dull, hazy and at times breezy day. Overnight conditions will be warm and hazy. Winds are blowing east-northeast to east-southeast at a maximum of 40 kilometers per hour. Seas are moderate, occasionally rough, getting up to 2.5 meters in open waters and less than 1 meter in sheltered areas. Temperatures are expected to get up to a high of 32 degrees Celsius during the day and dip down to 26 degrees Celsius at night. The sun will set at 6:19 p.m. today.
All right, and now let's recap the headlines. Minority Leader is concerned that a tendering process was corrupted.
TJ hoped for more allocations in the mid-year review.
Police sets up a team to investigate reports of child abuse.
And in sports, above average fitness triathlon was a success.
That's it for your morning news. Join us again at 7:30 p.m. for more news. All right, well, Denise, we have some crazy things happening in our space. Now, lots got revealed in the recent days regarding this SAPGA report as to what happened with Akil Chambers, you know, I think it was in 1998, you know, when that struck the nation. You know, there were so many questions about as to how this kid was found in the pool and what had happened to him. I mean, and even back then you were hearing that, you know, there was a possible cover-up, and now we're seeing that this report is surfacing after it being almost buried, or at least, you know, quieted for a long period of time.
I saw a post yesterday on Facebook about it, and when I read the entire story about the abuse that he had to endure, it was really heartbreaking, especially for a young child, because at one point in time in the story I heard that they had to put a socks in his mouth because he was screaming so much for the pain that he was experiencing, and one could only begin to imagine the torture and abuse that he had to go through. And I am sure that the justice that should have been received then, that made this story even more heartbreaking, because you are sitting and listening to what he had to go through, and then hearing that nothing really came out of it in the interim,
and that there was a cover-up,
really hurts you as an individual. And 25 years later is only when an investigation is really going to take place, and then you ask yourself, I mean, the persons who should have been held accountable and culpable for a situation like this that happened 25 years ago, would they even face justice now?
And they've been living free and happy and, you know, like
unbothered
for 25 years. When, you know, they should have been paying for that, because what this child had to endure was brutal. The words are just not there to really express, you know, what this kid had to endure, and then to have his life snuffed out of him. And because there were, I mean, there's allegedly high-ranking officials that were involved in this incident, and it seems as though there was some sort of pedophile ring going on, because from the report, there's an indication that there might have been more children that may have been involved, but we don't know that for sure. And then that's why we're hoping that maybe now we can have some of those answers. I mean, and that's coming on the heels right now of what the Children's Authority report highlighted to what's going on in these homes. And you have to wonder now, who is really looking out for the interests of children? And then when you see all these things happening in our space, all this crime, all this like anger being expressed, you have to stop and think, you know, are we as people at fault for what happened? You know, I mean, how did we contribute? I mean, because we are essentially to blame for not making sure, or not protecting these children, and, you know, for you know, placing harm and traumatizing these children.
I mean, the details of this situation is not the same, but when I read the story yesterday, it kind of reminded me of the story with Sean Luke.
Yes, the 6-year-old kid.
Yeah, and it I remember when at that point in time when that situation happened, it was a big thing for the public. Like, a lot of people were angry, a lot of people were, you know, really disheartened. So it reminded me of that situation. So I do hope, and then we have to
really take into consideration the emotional and psychological effects that it would have on a child. I mean, some children are very vulnerable and they don't have the mental capacity to really deal with some of the trauma that they experience.
But even if you're a strong person, dealing with that kind of trauma is difficult no matter who you are.
Most definitely. And then you also have to take in consideration that sometimes when you look at children and you realize that they're acting out in such a particular way, is to really sit back and say to yourself or ask yourself, I wonder why he behaving the way he behaving. And most times these issues stem from the home. You know, they are facing challenges at home, and because they're not able to have a safe space, they are acting out in such a ill manner, and you sit and you wonder, oh my gosh, like what is going on? But you know, to kind of wrap up this conversation, I am looking forward to see what the outcome of it would be, and I hope that the perpetrators who have been involved in this situation that happened 25 years ago, that they are prosecuted as such, because we cannot leave a situation like this to just say, okay, well, it happened 25 years ago, oh well. You know, persons need to be held accountable for the crime that they committed, and justice needs to be served. However, in this special segment, we are going to be chatting with Mr. Ricardo Bob, and he's a health inspector, and he's going to share some information about mosquitoes. Although they seem to be a little bit annoying at times, they do serve a purpose. So we are going to be chatting with him and hear from him on mosquitoes and the importance of them.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago. Now we are with Mr. Ricardo Bob, and we are going to have a conversation about Mosquito Week 2022. Now Mr. Bob is a health inspector.
Yes.
So good morning.
Good morning, and how are you today?
I am fine, and you?
I am wonderful.
So tell me about Mosquito Week. What is that really about? I mean, I don't think I've ever heard about Mosquito Week before. So could you tell us what it entails?
All right. Well, you know, with the pandemic, everything seems to be kind of lost, but still one of the primary functions of the public health department is actually vector control. And mosquito actually is a vector of several diseases. And people may have heard about dengue fever, yellow fever, chikungunya, Zika. These things seem to have been lost. So it is an attempt to help people to understand that we can't lose sight of these things. We don't want to have another pandemic within a pandemic, as it were. And so we need people to please pay attention, because the environmental situation can be conducive to the proliferation of these vectors.
How can we protect ourselves from these diseases that you just mentioned?
The most important thing is to remember the mosquito requires a place to breed. You know, vectors require food and shelter and some kind of, you know, area that they can feed. And so, you know, anything that can hold water. We want to what we call break one of the links in the chain of the life cycle of the vector. So the vector need to feed. There's an abundance of food from you and from me. But part of the life cycle of the vector actually is to lay its eggs in water. And so if anything that can hold water, maybe a bottle cap, maybe a hole in your somewhere in your house, you know, anything that can hold water, the mosquito is going to look to breed there. And so what we want to do is to eliminate those. Sometimes a lot of people have, you know, stuff around the yard. That's why we do the source reduction campaign, you know, moving away those old stuff that water can hold. Now, the beautiful thing is that we're in the dry season, so this is the best time to create the awareness that people need to get in that mindset. We need to eliminate those breeding sites.
You just mentioned the salt reduction campaign, so could you tell us a little bit about that?
Right, so the source reduction campaigns, we just finished one in April. We call it waste collection. So removing sources or breeding sites for the mosquito. So anything that could breed mosquitoes. Sometimes, you know, people have these old vehicles around, derelict material, the old fridge, the old stove, or they may be doing construction, and they may have barrels and buckets and all those things. So we remove those so that there's no breeding site for the mosquito.
Is there any specific time? I know you know like mosquitoes will always be around, but is there any specific time that they come out?
Yeah, well, different mosquitoes have different what we call feeding patterns.
Okay.
And so like the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which is the one that we spend the most time with, our intervention is primarily with Aedes, because that's the one that spread the dengue fever and so on. That loves to feed in the early morning and the late evening. And then we have another one like the culex. The culex loves to feed at night. You know, you normally hear that singing in your ears at night. Now, I know most people think that all mosquitoes do that, but that's not so. It's only the culex mosquito that sings. Aedes doesn't sing. So you learn to identify them by the feeding times and feeding patterns and so on. And then we have Anopheles species. Just by way of education, we have over 30 different species of mosquitoes in Tobago. So it's not only Aedes, but for the average person, a mosquito is a mosquito. It's a mosquito. But they have different feeding patterns, and not all of them may transmit disease. So the ones of what we call economic importance would be the ones that we have the agents for, the possibility of having the agents. So we focus primarily on the Aedes and the Anopheles. The Anopheles would spread malaria. The Aedes, the dengue, the chikungunya, and so on. The culex does spread disease, but at present, I'm not aware that we have the agent of disease, which will be the filarial worm that spreads elephantiasis. But at the same time, mosquitoes are a nuisance.
But how do we identify the different types of mosquitoes? Because you spoke about the breeding sites, and you would find the ones that are a little bit more dangerous there. But how do you literally identify which one is which?
Okay, so now you could identify them sometimes by their feeding position, by if the larval stage. Some of the larvae, they have different movements, snake-like and whip-like and so on. So you can actually learn how to do this. Then the mosquito itself, in terms of its anatomy, they have different positions that they would light, or different places that they would breed. So for example, let's say we're looking at Aedes. Aedes tend to like to breed, it's like a domesticated mosquito. It likes to breed around the house, wherever there is water. The Anopheles, we have some of them may breed, let's say there's one called Anopheles albitacis. It has white legs. So if you see white legs, you know that's Anopheles. But then the Aedes has white bands on its legs as opposed to total white legs. So if you don't know, you may just mix them up sometimes. Then you may have the Aquasalis. That one breeds in what we call the estuarine region, you know, where the salt and the fresh water meets. Breeds there and so on. You have Anopheles bellator that loves to breed in what we call the bromeliads, you know, those piney looking things in immortal trees. So they have different habits, and they actually look different. If you were to do some entomology, then you'll find that mosquitoes are beautiful when you get a closer look. Some actually have wings on the, oh yeah, they're beautiful creatures. You know, they're beautiful.
Because they are a nuisance.
All right, because you see, everything in the creation has a purpose. Now, the male mosquito actually is very important in pollination. They don't actually take blood meal. It's the female that takes the blood meal. They need the blood meal to get enough energy to incubate the eggs. You know, so it's the female that does the biting. You know, if we had maybe more plants around, and the plants were more energetic as maybe they used to be in the past, then maybe they would have used that. But because we don't have much plants, we don't do much animal rearing, because let's say in the forest, the mosquitoes will actually use the animals as the blood meal. Well, we don't have animals anymore, so the humans are the next best choice.
Because I was now going to ask you, what exactly attracts mosquitoes to individuals? Because you would think that a mosquito would just bite you because they want to bite you for biting sake.
No.
But is there anything specifically that attracts mosquito to individuals?
Yes, there is. That's a very important question. Now, we give off pheromones. You know, just like animals, we give off pheromones too. There's one called nonanal. Some people have a higher concentration of nonanal in their bodies. So we can be here today and the mosquitoes are coming to me more than to you. You may have experienced that. That's because of the nonanal level in my body.
Okay.
All right? So nonanal is one of the attractants to mosquitoes. Now, I don't know what determines the levels in the body, but some people just have a higher level than some.
If we were to eradicate mosquitoes altogether, how will that affect our ecosystem?
Well, if you're looking at pollination, most of our plants are insect pollinated. Now, besides mosquitoes, you also have aphids and so on. Now, the thing about it is that when you get in the environment and you destroy important, let's say, animal life, then you do affect the ecosystem in terms of fruit production and those kinds of things. So you want to have a good balance, because our intervention, when we use chemicals in the environment, it does affect the entire environment. But we have to weigh between disease prevention and control systems. You know, so it's a delicate balance.
How high does a mosquito typically fly?
Well, the height, I'm not so aware of the height, but I can tell you about the radius. It is estimated that some can have a flight radius of up to 10 miles. So they can move. But more than that, because of human activity, economic activity, we can actually move larvae and so on. We can actually move mosquitoes from Trinidad to Tobago in our vehicles.
Right.
Yeah. So if we were to eradicate mosquitoes from Tobago because of commerce, we can still bring it back. So if someone from Trinidad gets a mosquito in their car, they can come to Tobago on the boat and bring the mosquitoes back. You bring a female, you're going to have eggs being laid. In a month, you have an infestation again.
How long does these eggs, because females, they are going to...
Yeah, they're very prolific. A female mosquito will lay about 3 times in about 30 days.
3 times in 30 days?
30 days. So we're talking here, you could see the amount that you can get in a short period of time. The life cycle is about 30 days.
And how many does she lay at a time?
How many does she lay? I can't remember, but it's a lot, you know. And then if you're thinking about several females,
that's a lot of mosquitoes.
Oh yeah, that's
3 days in 30
no, three times in 30 days. Right. So think about it. When the rain starts to fall, within 7 to 10 days, you are going to have an infestation. So we're looking here at control measures, definitely. Now, there was a time when, let's say, Aedes was eliminated from Tobago in the late 1960s. We were considered Aedes-free. Now, we are not Aedes-free. But remember, if we have about 30 different types of mosquitoes on the island, eliminating Aedes is only one, you will still have mosquitoes.
Right.
Yeah? So it's not just about eliminating the Aedes. They are what we call nuisance mosquitoes. They don't spread disease, but they would bite you.
Because it is Mosquito Week 2022, is there any activities that is going to be put on for the public to raise awareness, to get people to know? Because you started off by saying you don't want to have a pandemic in the pandemic.
Yes.
And sometimes we don't really, we forget that mosquito, we have born in illness from it. So what are you doing to raise awareness, to get people to have the knowledge? Knowledge is power.
Yes.
So what are you doing for Mosquito Week?
All right, well, not just for Mosquito Week, but what we do every single day. We have our perifocal operators that are going around Tobago literally every single day. Not just making interventions in terms of treating breeding sites, but educating people, bringing awareness and so on. And you can contact our department. We can do church groups, school groups, community groups, you name it. We actually have an education team that will come to your area and give information from the preschool right up to tertiary level. So we are in the community all the time, conspicuous. You will see people with their IDs going around on a day-to-day basis. We don't stop. Mosquito Prevention Week is simply like an activity to heighten it a little bit. But we are there every single day in the community, I would say 365 days of the year.
What advice would you give to individuals about mosquito prevention and just awareness?
All right, so look around your homes and see wherever you can have water. And not just water, sometimes you may have a septic tank that actually have cracks in it. The mosquitoes can get in there and breed. The culex love to do that in those areas. Your drainage. There are lots of people who have poor drainage. Water is pooling somewhere, and they love to plant the dasheen in there. Well, there are some mosquitoes that like to breed inside there, you know. There is one you call the Oswaldi or the toxorhynchitis. They love to breed. Sometimes you have a pasture and the hooves of the animal make holes. They love to breed in that kind of water. All right. You may be doing construction. Be mindful. Cover the water sources. We know that there's a scarcity of water and people have to store. Cover your buckets, cover your barrels. Put a net around it and then seal it so that you would not have any space for the mosquito to go and lay the eggs. When a mosquito is gravid, that means it has to lay because all living things want to reproduce. It is going to lay in an area that there is the potential to have water. So you need to now protect those areas as well. And also, like your saucers, women, you like to have your beautiful plants in your saucers. You need to empty them and scrub them out. Keep the area clean. Pests don't like hygiene. Even some plants as well, your heliconias and so on, they may hold water in the leaves. The cane, even the corn, you in a cornfield, it's mosquitoes. You need to be careful. Just shake them a little bit, shake the water out and so on. So be very aware. Remember, mosquitoes need water to breed. They can't breed on sponge, like one guy told me once. They can't breed on areas that there is no water. There must be a water source. The larval stage, the pupal stage is in the water. So we need to eliminate those sources so that we will significantly reduce any levels of infestation.
All right, guys, you heard from Mr. Bob. He gave us some really interesting, in-depth information about mosquito and mosquito week and why this, week is so important and what we could do differently because mosquitoes, as he said, need a water source to breed. And I want we, to take really, really proper caution about the things that we may not necessarily look at. Because as he rightfully said, we don't want to have a pandemic in a pandemic. And there are some mosquitoes out here that are not really good for us. So we need to take better care of our environment. We need to do what is necessary so we could prevent any outbreaks of such. So thank you so much, Mr. Bob. It was welcome. A pleasure having you.
It's a pleasure. And we're talking about May. My birthday was yesterday.
Really?
So this is May Day, definitely.
Well, happy belated to you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after the break. All right, Denise, that was such a very interesting conversation that you had there, and some information that we need to know in this place. Even though mosquitoes are nowhere, they're quite important.
Yes, most definitely. And when I asked him specifically, what attracts mosquitoes to individuals, because you would hear persons say, well, it's just my blood that's sweet. Sometimes it could be something that you're wearing that smells a little bit too sweet that probably attracts them to you. But he said, no, it's not that. It's something that you actually have in your body that they are able to have that sense, that sense to attract them to you.
And I am one of those persons, and I'm just like, I wish that wasn't there because I'm always being bitten by mosquitoes.
Yes, so he cleared that up. And then he also said that, sometimes, mosquitoes don't just bite you for biting's sake, and the ones that actually bite you are typically the females, are the ones that carry out the act.
And I'm pretty sure some eager men would find some analogy for that one. But anyways, Denise, that's about it that we have for our show this morning. It was a wonderful time being with you again, Tobago. And we'll be back again tomorrow.
As I say always, keep safe, stay smiling, do have a pleasant day. We are almost at the end of the weekend. They say May, sweet May. When we was in primary school, we used to sing that song, May, sweet May. Beautiful month of May. We are happy.
Yes, we are in the very, very beautiful month of May. Very, very beautiful. Wonderful month. Best month.
We have a lot of birthdays in May. Candace is Sunday. Candace and Julian is on Sunday. And my birthday is next week Sunday, the day before the holiday. So May is indeed a beautiful month. So be safe as always. Make sure to wash your hands, to wear your mask, and social distance. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.
1,000 people strong, and the vibes is never